Hi, my name is Russ Milheim from The Direct.
Madelaine, hi.
Congrats on the film. It was great.
Thank you so much.
You know, with chapter one, what are you most proud of with how you guys pulled it off?
We had 52 days to shoot 3 films, so I think the fact that we finished them at all is a miracle.
Horror as a genre, what do you think makes it so versatile?
I think that there's something about how immersive horror can be and how you really have to pay attention in order to enjoy the experience. And I think that that's something that a lot of other genres don't have. It's so much about what's on screen as much as it is about off screen as well.
Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you so much.
For chapter one, what were you most proud of?
I think the kind of dynamic that Mads and I were able to build with Maya and Ryan was really something that we kind of found together, and something that's very special to me, and something that you get to kind of feel through the screen in a way. So yeah, I'm really proud of that.
What was your favorite moment from the original?
Oh, I have to say my favorite moment is when Liv Tyler is like in the kitchen and you see the scarecrow like right behind her over her shoulder. It's so creepy to like pick that up on. I didn't even notice it my first time, but the second time I watched it, that I was like, that was there the whole time. Yeah, incredible moment.
Can we expect you in 2 and 3? Any teases there?
Certainly. There's definitely pieces that are coming up. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Russ Milheim from The Direct. Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you very much.
With chapter one, what are you most proud of with how it turned out?
I'm proud of the fact that we were able to establish the premise for our 3-movie odyssey of 4.5 hours. We took the original film, which was brilliant, and since the movie is called The Strangers, we obviously have the 3 masked strangers. We have a couple in a house. There's a home invasion. But I think that we were able to pay homage to the original film, and at the same time put our own stamp on this premise, and set up something that I believe the moviegoers will enjoy exploring in the next 2 movies.
One thing I really liked about the film were the strangers themselves. They have a lot of really cool like interplay moments, and you could just feel more between them. Can you talk about fleshing that out
Yes,
as much as you can?
Yes, that was definitely our goal, to make the strangers real characters, and it started with the writing process and then was very integral to the casting process. These are not just anybody's with a mask. These are brilliant actors who are able to act without showing their faces. It's all about the body language, and it's about the pace of their movement, and it's about the interplay between them. And I'm so happy that you picked up on that, because we will develop that even much more in the subsequent movies.
Now, speaking of the subsequent movies, obviously you can't say much in detail. So my question for you is, if you could point to any particular movie, like other horror movies, that fans can maybe compare these next 2 entries to, what would you say?
That's a tough one. I don't know if we can compare this to any movie, because traditionally all movies and horror movies, they are made 1 movie at a time, and then if the movie works, premise works, then. But yeah, I dare to say that this has never been tried before, where basically the 3 movies take place in 5 days, and it's one continuous story. So I don't think I can compare it to any other movie.
That's fair. Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to the next 2 parts. When it comes to chapter one, what are you most proud of, and how it turned out?
Well, I'm most proud of the fact that we made our own version of a classic without in any way doing any damage. There's nothing that derivative, and in a way, they're totally connected. In a way, this is a real movie for this time. So I'm proud of the little nuances that we did, and the cast.
Now, I know you can't talk too much about chapter 2 and 3, but
I'm not going to.
comparing all the movies, if you could, tell fans like maybe some horror movies that 2 and 3 are inspired by, what films would you throw out there?
I don't know that they were inspired by horror movies. I feel more that inspiration is to better define characters than you always get in horror movies, because in my end of the world, we're always about good stories well told. So what 2 and 3 really go into are the tipping point, and then, okay, so what's up with all of these characters, rather than just leaving it. And I think the It's going to be well worth the journey.
My personal guess is I think chapter 3 is a revenge flick, but I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
We'll get back to that and see if I'm right. You know, you were also a producer on the After movies. Can you? Is there any update on that franchise? Because we haven't heard much about it.
We're working on more stories. I don't know what format they'll be in, but we definitely are not stopping. That I can tell you.
That's good. Well, thank you.
Stop.
Thank you very much. What are you most proud of when it comes to how Chapter 1 turned out?
I don't know. Let's see how it does, right? No. Just kidding. I think. Look, taking such a classic. You know, I remember when I started like telling friends, "Hey, I'm in The Strangers Chapter 1." It's like, "Oh my God, that's one of my favorite horror movies," and you're like, "Okay." So like, there's so much IP, there's so much fandom about it that taking a classic and just trying to make it justice. That's something that's really difficult, and I think we've accomplished it. I hope. You tell me, but after you watch it, but I think it's really hard to take a movie that's so known and try to do something different without taking over its identity. And I think Renny has done a great job with it. So has Madelaine and everybody else involved.
You seem to be really into horror movies. Am I reading that right?
You know what? It's kind of fun, right? Like it gives you that adrenaline bump that you're like sort of like, oh my God, what's happening? So yeah, I like them. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite horror movie, like an all-timer?
American Psycho.
Good choice. Good choice.
Is it a horror? Is it not? I don't know, but I think.
Now, obviously, you can't talk too much about chapters 2 and 3, but if you were to compare them to any other like horror movie or movie, what movies would you throw out there for fans to maybe look forward to, what to expect?
From chapters 2 and 3, it goes wild. It just goes wild. Like you think part 1 or chapter 1 is sort of like, oh my God, what's happening? It's already dark. It gets darker. So that's scary. That's really scary for me.
My last question for you: out of all 3 strangers, which one is the scariest for you?
Scariest.
Which one would really just make you go, no, I can't do this. Got to walk the other way.
I mean, seeing Pinup Girl just walking around with that face is like a bit like, oh my God. The guy. I mean, like I'm kind of biased, so I can't really answer. But I'll just say Pinup, just to be polite.
That's fair. Well, thank you again, and congratulations on the movie.
Thank you so much.
For you, what was the most unique part about this production, being a part of it?
I mean, I've said this before, but I think just being a part of this like amazing franchise and really getting to take it on and go more in depth with the backstory of it, I think fans are going to be really excited to see something like that. So I just feel very honored to be a part of it.
Now I have to ask, out of the 3 strangers, which is the scariest for you?
I always kind of go with Scarecrow. Scarecrow is pretty scary.
That mask.
Surprised me. I know that mask is, yeah. It's the homemade looking mask to me that is the scariest, I think.
Do you have a favorite moment from the original movie?
I mean, I love the ending, I think, to be honest with you. I think it's a really chilling ending, and I think that's what you'll really get with the rest of the trilogy is you're kind of going to get left on the cliffhangers. So you should watch them.
I will be watching them, but I have to ask, are you going to be in any more of them? Are we going to see more of you?
You'll have to find out. I can't tell.
Well, hopefully we'll find out within a year, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. For you, what was the most unique part about being a part of this production?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think part of the fun about being in a horror is it doesn't feel like a horror when you're in it. And I think working with all of the different actors, especially with some of those bigger scenes, was what made it unique and special.
Do you have a favorite moment from the original Strangers movie?
Oh, I think that first break-in is like iconic. I mean, the line, everyone knows it and it like reverberates within the fans. But I think, watching Michelle do that and like she's so expressive when it comes down to what ends up happening. So I think that's what I'm.
Can we expect you in more of these movies, or?
I cannot comment on that.
I'm gonna cross my fingers. Last question for you: do you have a favorite horror movie in general?
Oh my goodness! I was just saying this. I'm so bad. I get so scared, so I can't watch horrors alone. But like Cabin in the Woods, those are like
Great. I did want to ask, which of the strangers is scariest, do you think? Which one gets under your skin the most?
Ooh. Like of the different of the three
I forget the proper names.
of the three of the masks. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I have to really go back into. I watched them like all after I filmed, just because I didn't want it to impact how I did it. But no, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well, thank you again. I look forward to probably maybe future movies. For chapter 1, what are you most proud of with how everything turned out?
I mean, I feel like every movie is so different, but at the same time is so great at like actually making it an event. So the build up in the first movie is something that I feel like I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah, with chapters 2 and 3, obviously you can't say much of anything. But if you were to maybe tease what other films like they might be similar to, like other horror films, what names would you throw?
Definitely has elements of The Shining, I will say.
Okay.
So
That's a good target right there. When it comes to chapter 1, some changes were made compared to the original. What is your favorite change?
I'm not going to give it away, but I do think that they were just making it a fresh, modern approach, just in a general, was something that it's still relatable like the first one was, but for us, I think we upgraded it in a way that people are going to be very excited about.
Last question. Out of the 3 strangers, who's the creepiest?
I would say Pinup Girl, definitely.
One of my first questions I just wanted to ask for both of you, what are you guys most proud of how this first chapter turned out?
I'll speak for me. I think Alan will agree, but is that we like that we go a little deeper into these characters in this movie. It's not just straight horror where you're going to be scared, but you're actually going to get a little bit more and learn about the people who don't have masks on, but you're also going to learn through the trilogy about the people who do wear the masks.
Yeah, and I think for the first chapter, we did a good job of setting up the mystery as to who it is behind the masks and why. And so make you want to come back for number 2 and number 3 to find out more of the backstory.
Now, one of my favorite lines from the original movie was, because you were home. You guys ended up adjusting that for this movie. Can you talk about why you chose that you wanted to do that?
Well, in our version, it's not their home that they're in. They're in basically an Airbnb. So we changed it to because you're here. It just seemed a little more accurate because I don't want to give anything away, but the people in the mask would know that it's not their home, so they wouldn't say, "Oh."
Well said. Yes, it's not in the original. It was Scott Speedman's characters. It was in his family, so that's why we had to change it.
Hey, well, that makes sense. Final question for you guys. When it comes to chapters 2 and 3, I know you can't give away details, but if you were to compare them to any other horror movie, for like maybe fans to kind of expect what type of movie, what would you say?
It's a little bit more character-based horror in 2 and 3 because we're trying to tell about the relationships between the characters and the backstory. So I think you'd look to some of the franchises where the sequels continued the stories. I don't know which ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's as scary as Halloween, where there's home invasion and things like that. But yeah, I think with the character, you're gonna get a little deeper dive into who's involved in this movie, and that's gonna be a little more satisfying to who you are. And I think these movies, they're a little bit, each one's different. So you'll watch the first one and you'll go, okay, that I get, and then the second one is still a scary movie, but it takes place it has a little bit different vibe to it. So I think you watch all 3, it'll be a satisfying experience.
It's great to talk to you for about The Strangers chapter 1. I have to ask, which of the strangers is the scariest to you?
I don't know yet. I think all of them.
They are pretty terrifying in general.
Yeah, stranger danger. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite horror movie that you like to go to a lot?
I think my favorite horror movie, what kind of horror movie are we talking? My all-time favorite has to be Get Out. Loved that. But I also loved Pearl, I loved X, I loved the Saw movies. Anything that's bloody, I can do. Anything that has to, like Paranormal Activity, Insidious, I will be awake for days on end. So I love them as an art, but watching them, I have to hit pause a billion times.
I love the Saw franchise as well. Right? So I assume you're campaigning for a role in 11, right?
Oh, well, now that you say that, no, I'm just kidding.
You're obviously in Pretty Little Liars as well. If you were to tease for fans what to expect, what are some horror movies that you would recommend them go look at?
Oh, that's a great question. I would recommend Strangers. I would recommend, oh man, this is so hard. I can see the picture in my head. It's like this animatronic mouse type of situation. Do you know which one I'm talking about? See, it's on the tip of your tongue too. Yes, it's Freddy's. No, it's, yes, Freddy's, but there's another one that there's an older one. That's escaping me.
Does it have Nicolas Cage in it?
I can't remember.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it, and I hope you enjoy the movie. So it was great to meet you.